You don't need to do anything, Theodora. You just need to watch. Ironically, the person least excited to be performing animancy is one of the two people here who happens to be animated by it. Theodora seems to quite enjoy the biomancy research she and Penelope have been getting up to most of every day now, but messing with a living man's soul crosses a line for her, apparently. Penelope, who has been trying to convince her to help, turns slightly to give me a meaningful look. I suppose it would be trivial to get Theodora to help. As poorly as my shard has integrated with her soul, it's still in her and she cannot change that. Not unless, ironically, she learns animancy. And she knows that. It's part of why she agreed to help us. Seeing the terror of the man we have tied up in our basement who we intend to use as a learning experience, however, has given her cold feet. Still, it's clearly best for her to stay. Having her watch here would help us out immensely, and it would also bring her closer to her own goals of being free from me. Don't look at me, I say. I'm staying neutral on this. My whole life I've had to fight to keep the clothes on my back. Every trinket, every coin, every chunk of bread that was ever mine was a struggle against death. Everything I call my own is precious to me, be it a home, an object, or a person. Theodora is mine, and she wants to make her own choices. So I'm going to let her. Though ironically, that seems to be the best way to control her. Thank you, Vita, Theodora says, her appreciation giving my shard the purchase to grow deeper within her. Penelope, you have to know this isn't the animancy that we wanted to make. This isn't something I want to be able to do. I don't disagree, Penelope answers soothingly, an expertly crafted smile on her lips. It's a horrible temptation, one that we would be better off without. But we have been making no headway. One must understand the basics before they can develop their own methods, is that not so? Margaret stands next to me, even less inclined to join the conversation than I am. Her mix of irritation and open jealousy in Theodora's direction is probably caused by how she considers Theodora's valuable talent to be rightfully hers. Margaret told us back in Lytia that she had to fight dozens of her own kin for supremacy inside Theodora's body. It must have been one of the first things she ever did after being born, considering that at the time every Nora besides Penta and the one controlling Remus would have been less than a couple 10 days old. What must it be like to have someone else's memories but consider them all your own? You know I hate when you're right about these things, Penelope, Theodora grumbles. And you know I rely on you to make sure I really am right, Penelope responds, her words both truth and carefully calculated manipulation. If I am wrong somewhere, you're the one I need to point it out. No, you're right, Theodora sighs. Of course you're right, and you're going to do it whether I help or not anyway, aren't you? Fine. She glances hesitantly at me, but starts casting Mana's sight and, for the first time while I'm around, soul sight. Though she avoids looking my way. Okay. Capita says cheerfully, clapping her hands once. Now is the family blasphemy session, yes? That's one way to put it, Margaret snorts. So would you be anti-Capita in this fucked up found family? I raise an eyebrow at her. I don't remember adopting Margaret. Vitamin said we're sisters, Margaret answers defensively. I guess I stand corrected, apparently I have adopted Margaret. She gasps and hops excitedly as I smash a small chunk of myself and pass her the resulting soul dust. I can't help but crack a grin at the sight. The former slimes are quite easy to please, and it never stops being cute. Let's begin, Penelope says, attempting to get everyone back on track. Capita nods, a grin splitting her face as tiny purple threads of soul creep out from her broken core. She turns to face our bound and gagged victim, who squirms futilely at the attention. A man looks in the mirror, Capita intones, stepping forward and leaning close to the bound man, and he sees his reflection. He does this often, always checking, lest he forget what he looks like. She wraps one hand around the struggling man's neck, though she does not squeeze. His fear alone causes his struggles to cease, and he stares at her in motionless terror. Why does he check? Perhaps he is obsessed. Perhaps he is cursed. But always, he checks the mirror, over and over, and what he sees there he knows to be himself. But what happens when I change the reflection? Her threads slip into the disgusting soul of the man who failed my family, slithering in through minuscule cracks and channels, like a snake hunting moles within their own tunnels. She pushes into him, violates him, and prepares to break him from the inside. Shall I make the reflection look like a frog? Capita coos. I could do so, but no matter how beautifully the reflection croaks, what would happen when the man sees it? If your mirror showed you a frog, would you believe yourself to be a frog? No. You still have the wisdom of a man. But if your skin was just a little greener, your tongue just the tiniest fraction longer, would you notice? Or would you believe what you see in the mirror to be strange, new, but still clearly you? Wait, cognomancy can't actually turn people into frogs, can it? I ask. No, obviously not. She's just saying major changes don't take, Penelope explains. Capita frowns, swaying slightly as her soul sparks, trying to form her thoughts into something coherent. No. The mirror is important, she insists. The mirror is always there. What separates cognomancy and necromancy is the presence of the man. The dead are but a reflection, burned into glass. Twist the reflection, and there is no viewer to disbelieve the mirror. Necromancy is power, necromancy is control. Whereas cognomancy is subtlety, cognomancy is patience. It is to make an illusion so real it ceases to be an illusion at all. Yes? I frown, trying to parse that. You're saying that, if I could put one of my shards into someone currently alive, it wouldn't make them devoted to me because they would be able to. What? Notice that something was affecting them and change their soul back? Capita gives me a smile of confirmation, her hand briefly squeezing tighter on the man's neck as his shivers of discomfort start becoming more serious twitches. Her hold lightens again when he calms down, enabling the man to take a gasp of air. Perhaps. The living have two selves, the mirror and the man. Each can change the other. This is how people grow. To mold and control a mind, we do not force the result, we control the growth. Penelope nods thoughtfully. That makes a lot of sense. Biomancy is similar, in that making massive or rapid alterations to the body only does more harm than good. Biomancy spells must be applied with patience, as their effects take a while to bear fruit. Capita nods back happily. Except perhaps for the masters of our disciplines, this is so. The artist's skill is incomparable to his sketches, but I only teach you what I know. To that end, watch. Her threads have invaded deep into the soul at this point, and one has finally found what she seems to have been looking for. The tip of the thread digs into the soul, carving a purple gouge inside it. Theodora flinches. Scratch the reflection. Simplicity itself, Capita hums, turning to smile at Theodora. Do you see, scholar's soul? That is the first spell. Slowly, Theodora nods, her eyes flicking in different directions as her talent rapidly processes information in a way that no one else can. It's not 100% replicable, Theodora mutters slowly. Whatever you're doing to reach into the soul isn't a spell, only the scratch is. Capita nods. The soul is a plant. Mana is water, the body is soil. You hold power over fruit, but not the plant itself. There are some things only your queen's ilk can grow. But, fear not, the artist did his weaving without a single thread. There is a way, though I cannot teach it. Theodora swallows, her body going through with the nervous gesture despite no longer being able to make a single drop of saliva or digest a single grain of wheat. Vulca has a king, she says. Capita shrugs. You don't. As interesting as this all is, Penelope interrupts, we ultimately do not care very much about using cognomancy to control people. We are only interested in acquiring the spells necessary to manipulate a living soul, regardless of whether the manipulation affects personality or memory. Ultimately, we want to be able to remove and replace souls from one body into another without harming or killing them, not any of the rest of this. If anything, we want to be able to remove the sorts of manipulations you describe. Capita quickly cycles through surprise, consideration, and excitement as Theodora sends Penelope a thankful look. A pleasant ambition, Capita giggles. Then I shall cut my lessons as short as my sister, and skip to the meat. Hey! I snap. She laughs, and from there she moves on to a series of quicker demonstrations, adding and removing parts of the soul at Theodora's request. Penelope watches intently, only occasionally glancing my way to look me in the eye with soul sight active. It's embarrassing, but I focus on Capita's lessons, learning everything I can about cognomancy. A couple hours later, Capita declares that she's shown everything she has to offer, to which Penelope asks her to demonstrate her teleportation talent as well. For this favor, Capita answers slowly, I would wish a favor returned. Not content to offer anything to your little sister after all? Penelope presses. Penelope, don't call me that, I grumble. 'Tis not the work of art who requests this of me, and 'tis not her I request the favor from. O woman of armored heart, noble master of the body, I wish from you a boon. Penelope raises an eyebrow. I assume you mean me? Her face remains impassive as she starts rapidly deciding exactly how much she'd be willing to trade for a teleportation spell. What exactly do you want? Capita scratches her cheek, embarrassed and hesitant. I am of the understanding that you, too, are an artist. One of flesh, rather than spirit. I would not describe myself as such, but much of my personal wealth has been gained from spells I use to manipulate appearance, if that's what you mean, Penelope answers tersely. Were you looking for a makeover? Yes. Capita murmurs, but not for me. I beseech you to shape the sky. She nervously taps her fingers together while Penelope makes a slow, incredulous blink. Your lover and I openly despise each other, Penelope points out. Yes. Capita hedges, but what if you didn't? Just like that? Penelope answers flatly. Oh, of course, let's break out the scones and tea for the person that wants to kill my entire family. We'll sing nursery rhymes and play hopscotch together right before you both assassinate the king. Yes. Capita agrees happily. Yes, exactly. And then he won't kill you and then none of us have to be sad. My eyes narrow, tentacles clenching for war. So he plans to kill Penelope? He'll regret ever even thinking about it. Penelope, for her part, just gives an unimpressed huff. You will be sorely disappointed if you attempt to convince me with threats, she says firmly. Not threats. Capita insists. Fears. The sky is as vast as his anger. But you are the work of arts. You must be spared, and, well, you are one of the few that could change wrath to gratitude. It is. For both of you. Please. Sky doesn't even know you're asking this, does he? I realize. Favor to me, Capita agrees. But all for him. Please, Flesh Shaper. Make him himself. Penelope pinches the bridge of her nose. Assuming you can even put the two of us in the same room without starting a fight, what do you want me to do exactly? Make your lover look more like a man? It's obvious that Sky isn't even a man in the first place. I blink my eyes in surprise as Capita narrows hers dangerously. He is, she insists. Is that really a lie you want to tell to someone you're asking to perform biological modifications? Penelope fires back immediately. Honestly, think long and hard on that one. I know you need time to get your head working. Capita hesitates at that, drumming her fingertips together as her soul struggles to come to a decision. Are there not famous true nobles that opted not to disclose the content of their trousers? Capita murmurs in answer, squirming uncomfortably. Yes, quite a few, but I imagine they still told any biomancer that needed to muck around with their hormones. Penelope snaps. The scale of the task alters rather drastically depending on whether or not your lover has any testicles. I can't give you an answer unless I know. Capita scowls, refusing to look Penelope in the eyes. He is a he, she insists. Okay. Fine. Penelope snaps. But, his second belly button might be more of an innie than an outie, she hedges. You guys are doing the thing again, I grumble. Could someone explain? Capita gives me a worried smile, increasingly uncomfortable to have to explain any of this and terrified of what my answer will be. His soul does not match his body, Capita says. Oh. Yeah, I feel that, I answer honestly. That really sucks. I think your situation might be a little different, Vita, Penelope says dryly. Anyway, my answer is no. Capita makes a pleading face. What? Why? Because you can't afford my time, Penelope says, crossing her arms. I've done something like this once before, you know. It wasn't easy, it wasn't complete, and it wasn't worth the paltry sum exchanged for either me or my client because most of what I did started reverting itself, at least partially, without continuous treatment. Which they couldn't pay for. One favor isn't worth the time you're asking of me if you expect me to cast on Sky every other day, and if you want me to do anything permanent I will need time to research it. It will take months of my time, at minimum, and if you haven't noticed my research schedule is currently rather busy. I only half listened to Penelope's whole explanation because I'm busy trying to parse the pulse of emotion she's trying to make as obvious as possible. Leave it to Penelope to figure out a way to turn my lie detector into a secret messaging system. She wants me to contradict her. You should do it anyway, I say, seeing no reason not to go along with her scheme. Penelope false scowls. Why? Immortality research is obviously more important. But this is more immediate, I argue, and find myself believing it. Better to have Sky like us, isn't it? Being stuck in a shitty body sucks. Also, it would help us since we're planning to double-cross him before the true sense. If anyone can convince him to lower his guard, it's Penelope. You don't think that your situation is very different after all, do you, Vita? Penelope asks, chewing on the inside of her lip. I start to try to figure out what I'm supposed to say but realize that her question is honest this time. Does she mean the body thing? I mean, yeah, I guess, I admit. It sounds the same to me. Penelope looks between me and Capita, then back to me. Do you want me to alter your treatments? She asks. I blink. You mean to look like a man? No. I mean, I don't really care. You can if you want to, but you can also not if you don't want to. It doesn't matter if I look male or female, I still don't look like me. The feeling of revulsion at myself has been growing slowly ever since I hatched, but there is nothing Penelope can do to fix that. It's not that my body is wrong, it's that I don't want a body at all. I just don't think about it wherever I can. Somehow, it's both easier and more difficult ever since my soul spread through the inside of my body. On one hand, I'm significantly more me-shaped, not because my body changed to look like me but because I changed to look more like my body. On the other hand, I now have to more intimately feel this increasingly disgusting meat vessel, and it is less than pleasant. Penelope stares thoughtfully at me for a while longer before finally turning back to Capita. Fine, she says. I make no promises, but I will look him over and see what I can come up with. If nothing else, it will be an excellent learning experience. With a squeal of joy, Capita immediately starts teleporting circles around Theodora before finally teleporting next to Penelope and scooping her up into a big hug. Thank you, Spiky Bubbles. Get off of me before I give you more warts than hair follicles. This has been my weirdest weird mask day yet. I take a deep breath and hold it, pulling in mana from my ocean. The warm waters of my true self wash through me, calming and reassuring. I am more than what I seem to be, and this truth is unassailable. Regretfully, I return focus to my meat, specifically my hands as I move and shape the mana into intricate patterns. I open my eyes, let out my breath, and let the spell complete. A dazzling blue copy of my eye appears in the air, tentacles writhing, and I smile as I watch Rowan's eyebrows raise in a mixture of pride and surprise. Nice work, Vita. It's pretty obviously an illusion, but a very complex one. Lots of moving parts. You're visualizing all of this at once? I'm cheating a little, I admit. Well, I'd be quite the hypocrite to disapprove of cheating, but what do you mean, exactly? This is me. I tell him happily, pushing the core of my soul down my arm and overlapping it with the illusion so that he can see me move in real time. I'm visualizing it by watching myself move. This is my soul. It's been about a month since Weird Mask Day, or the Skyhope Festival as Penelope incorrectly insists that it is called, and during that time I have been very busy doing a lot of nothing. I spar with Lynn sometimes, and I have been learning chiromancy from Rowan, but frankly most of that has just been excuses to hang out with my family as much as possible. It's honestly really weird doing so. I actually know the names of all my siblings now, though that took quite a bit of effort to memorize. Having food, energy, and free time seems to have turned the kids into completely different people, but I suppose that's to be expected. We no longer have significant blocks of the day spent cowering or begging or stealing, so there are new things to do. Of course, that doesn't stop a lot of the kids from trying to go out and steal things anyway, which I understand. It's the one skill many of them have, and it feels like we have nothing else to do with our time. Others are training to fight, watching Lynn and I spar and taking lessons. I can't say I'm a big fan of that, but it will be years before any of them actually get into danger unless one of them happens on a lucky talent, so it's a problem that I can kick down the road. Unfortunately, kicking problems down the road seems to continue being a habit. I am really happy lately. It's nice to not have anything I have to kill, It's nice to just be able to feel my family be happy, to soak in that satisfying joy that I accomplished. But in the back of my head, there's a constant tapping. A little reminder that won't stay quiet, telling me that I don't have much time left to become more powerful than Sky. That my deadline for betrayal is closing, that every moment I waste not getting more powerful is a moment I will regret when danger once more knocks on my door. This joy is wonderful, but it is wrong. I shouldn't be sitting here feeling satisfied, because that complacency is exactly the flaw that caused so many of my problems up until this point. I'm not fulfilling my promise to myself. I'm not being proactive. I'm going with the flow, reacting with whatever feels right in the moment, and I know it's wrong no matter how much I love it. I should not be here. I am really, really happy I finally have this kinemancy spell down, though. That's what you look like? Rowan asks. Well, it's nice to see you, I suppose. He makes an illusion of his own, a copy of himself, and pretends to shake one of my tentacles with it. Ooh. Ronnie cheers, running up to us. He's one of the youngest ones, probably only 5 or 6. What's my soul look like? There was a minor token effort on behalf of Lynn, Rowan, and I do not let the kids know that I'm an animancer, since their ignorance is very literally for their own protection. Under Skyhope law, knowing about what I am and not reporting it is a serious crime, potentially even treason based on the circumstances, but frankly the kids are too smart and I am too shitty at keeping secrets for that facade to last very long. It's probably fine. Lynn and Rowan didn't raise snitches. Well, your soul is still growing and developing, but currently it looks like this, I say, shifting the illusion, showing my tentacular beauty into a small, black sphere with hints of dark purples blooming around the outside. I look like a bruise, Ronnie whines. That just means you're tough, I answer, grinning at him. That earns me a grin back, and soon I have every kid currently in the house running up and asking me to show them souls. Most of them are similar to Ronnie's, mainly black with splashes of one other color growing out of it. For a few of them, I can make educated guesses on what their talents might be based on the feel, but I don't voice that information out loud in fear of disappointing anyone if I'm wrong, or worse, having to tell some of the kids that I don't think they'll get talents at all. A knock on the door from Penelope spares most such worries, thankfully. She's a little early for the usual checkup, but not by much. The rest of the kids should be trickling in soon so they can receive their treatments. Good morning, everyone, Penelope says, nodding politely. Morning, Penelope, I respond, grinning her way. Emoting is annoying, but I'm relearning it. She smiles back, and it's always nice to see the rare occasions where her face matches her true emotions. Usually her feelings are squeezed, constrained, and regulated. She's always spending a background amount of effort ensuring whatever her body shows holds some advantage for her rather than just letting it react to how she really feels. When she discards that, though, her emotions come through brighter, her song plays clearer. It's pleasantly soothing. She has a backpack today, though she just sets it down when she sits and grabs the first volunteer for treatments, smacking any hands that reach out to grab it. From there, the treatments proceed as normal. When it's my turn, Penelope spends a lot more time yanking around my eye than usual, making considering hums to herself. Looks like your eyes are more or less done, she says. It's all blue now. Have you been getting any odd looks? A few more than usual, I guess, I answer with a shrug. Does it really look that weird? It's rather striking, yes. In a good way, I think, but you're certainly hard to forget. I wouldn't be surprised if you have somewhat of a reputation. I nod glumly. I'm out of the house a lot, doing things like buying food or picking up my wages from the Hunters Guild, earned from the solar missions I do around town nowadays. They're all pathetically easy, but no one else seems to want to do them since about 90% of the monsters in the city are in the sewers. Our team is more or less gone forever, and I've yet to be placed on a new one. Teams that lose their scout tend to not come back at all, so it's difficult to slot me into a damaged group, and I've made it clear that I'm not currently looking for a new one anyway. Penelope keeps to the medical ward. Orville has joined a different team, and I haven't seen Bentley since he quit. I kind of want to track him down, but what would I say? Thanks for not outing me to the Templars. Anyway, Penelope is right. Between my eyes and the fact that everyone with a danger sense nearly shits themselves when I walk by, I am quickly becoming a known quantity. The reactions I get are becoming less "what the fuck is that" and more "oh no, it's her again." I don't really know what to do about it, though, so I just do nothing. Seems to be working out so far. Penelope's treatments have been lasting longer and longer, but I don't really mind. I have no idea what all she's doing to me, but I trust her. I like that I can trust her. She pokes me and prods me all over, but I never feel like I'm in danger like I do with anyone else. It's kind of nice, especially since she rarely lapses into bursts of uncomfortable emotions while working, staying primly professional or at least distracted throughout our procedures. It's comfortable, and we have plenty of time to talk. You've done a few procedures on Sky now, right? I ask. How has that been going? Infuriatingly annoying, Penelope grumbles. He insists on keeping 2 other biomancers in the room with us, and he wants me to teach them everything I do to him. They are barely competent enough to prevent me from just lying about it. So you regretfully admit he's not stupid enough to just let you walk in and kill him? I snort. I regretfully admit he's not stupid enough to just let me walk in and kill him, Penelope sighs. Which I expected, but it's still somewhat disappointing. No, slowly weakening his heart until he passes out from normal exertion while I'm on the other side of the city. I could still kill him with a disease, and it's hilarious to me that he thinks his pathetic excuses for biomancers could do anything about it, but it's the same sort of situation as the one you described to me shortly after we first met. He would die, but not fast enough, I recall. And when he realizes he's dying, it's mutually assured destruction. Exactly, Penelope confirms. I've ensured that you and I are going to be an absolute mess for anyone to try and kill. A lot of these procedures will improve your capacity to survive even if I'm not there to heal you. Still, if anyone could manage it, Sky could. His talent is one of the strongest I've ever seen. Oh, you can do stuff that makes people harder to kill? I ask. Would you mind doing that for the kids? Penelope gives a very slight chuckle, soft and quick, as some worry in her soul gets a little lighter. Why, Vita, I would love to. Thanks. I say. That takes a load off my mind. But are you still doing the thing with Sky? Yes. I didn't actually expect to be able to cleanly assassinate him this way, so it's no real loss. Though at the same time, I didn't expect him to agree either. I figured Capita would try to convince him to work with me and just fail miserably. Yet she persisted for damn near a month, and now I spend nearly an hour of every other day getting berated by a petite two-bit hoodlum. Turns out he's lying to you about not having many funds, however. Either that or I'm draining his operation dry. Well, I trust that you'll be able to get some information out of it, I say. Thanks for doing it. Are you sure you are going to be safe without me there? You don't need to worry about me, Vita, Penelope scoffs. I'm not stupid enough to let him take me anywhere he could attack without consequences. Besides, mutually assured destruction goes both ways. I give her a considering look. If someone actually does manage to kill you, what will happen? I ask. She just laughs, and though the rest of the house gives her worried glances at the sound of it, I'm just happy she's looking forward to it. If someone is that dumb, I'll do my best to make sure you get to watch the aftermath, I promise. Much appreciated, Vita, she chuckles. So, I was wondering, do you have any plans for the rest of the day? I frown. She knows that I don't, but I tell her so anyway because that's a social thing people do. In that case, Penelope says slowly, I was wondering if you wanted to go out? I freeze. Did I hear that right? No. Oh no. She's actually doing it. What do I say? I want to say no. It's not personal, I care about Penelope. She's amazing. She literally changed my life. But I'm not attracted to women, I'm attracted to men against my will. And I don't want to date anybody. Certainly not a noble. I don't want to go to fancy dinners or plays, I don't want to hobnob with the upper class, I don't want to have to be a part of some clandestine plot to hide from and or murder her current fiancé. But I don't want to tell her no either. I don't want to lose her. What do I? Vita, Penelope says, her lips pursed with amusement. I meant outside the walls. To the forest? Oh. Well. I guess that sounds pretty fun. I've been meaning to do that anyway. You want to come with? I ask her. She chuckles. That's what I'm asking. Yes. She taps her chest with her knuckles, letting the dull thud-thud show she's armored and ready. You think I'm going to let you break your legs alone out there? The backpack has plenty of water and some food that I can actually stomach, and I've taken the liberty of giving notice to the guild. We should be good to rampage for a few days, if you like. I grin and immediately lean in to give her a huge hug, which she returns while radiating an aura of overwhelming smugness. I'd love to, I say. What brought this on all of a sudden? Stress. And of course Johan has been bugging me to get some damn time off, so I figured, do I not commit some morally blameless genocide with my best friend? And partner in crime, I add. And queen among slaves, she finishes, eminently amused. Indeed. I know we get to see each other every day for the treatments, but it's always work, work, work. I think we deserve a little fun, and you deserve a lot of food. I promise not to complain about whatever insane thing you decide to put in your mouth if you promise to leave a few monsters alive for me to experiment on. Deal, as long as you help me prepare it all for eating. She sighs extra dramatically. Fine. If you must twist my arm over it. Heck yes. I cheer. I'm already in my armor, since I always dress in my armor, so I just grab a bit more gear and then the two of us are ready to go. This is exciting. With Penelope's help, I'll be eating the whole forest in no time. We wander out to the walls, chatting about what we did yesterday and other nothings. A quick check by the guards and we are outside, vast stands and greens replacing the dirt and stone of the city. The forest is ahead of us, and I do my best to focus on the scents in the air, the colors on the ground, the feeling of wind on my skin. These things aren't as beautiful to me as they used to be. I can see that, when I look for it, and I realize it's a loss. I don't really know what to do about it, though. I wish I didn't hate my body. I wish I wasn't disgusted by things that I never used to despise. My hatching changed me, took humanity away from me and crushed it. I knew that from the start, and frankly I would never dream of going back. I just wish I could have kept the best of both worlds. I wish I could feel the wind and smell the air without the background of dread and wrongness. I want to retreat back into my comfortable soul, ignore my body, ignore its upsides because they really aren't worth the so many parts of it that I hate. But that has its own problems. I'm stuck. Trapped between two imperfect aspects, faulty flesh and half-grown soul. Neither is a substitute for the other, no matter how much I wish they were. We enter the forest together, and I take a slow, deliberate breath, feeling the hollow, wet pair of sacs inside me expand as they suck in foul, mana-saturated air, then push it out as reedy bands of muscle press them back together. Suffer through it. I may not like my body, but I still need it. So, Penelope asks, glancing slightly down at me. Actually at me. She'd casted Soul Sight once we got away from the city. Where to first? Everywhere, I answer with a shrug. We're just looking for a monster too dumb to run or too slow to succeed. And then I cut myself off a little, knowing that she's really going to like what I have to say next but fearing that it might be one of those things she likes a little bit too much. Oh, screw it. This is Penelope. She saved my life, she saved my whole family, and there probably isn't anyone in the world that understands me better. She deserves this. Would you like an army? I ask her. I swear, her grin nearly splits her head in half.